أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي أشدد به أزري واشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. There's no God but you. Glory be unto you. Indeed, I was among the wrongdoers. وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Inshallah, all is well. Happy Sunday. We will proceed with the supreme sign, the seventh ray, on page 159. And we need to continue on with the fourth point. I'm just checking in to see if there's any friend here who would want to share out any takeaways from last time. If not, then pretty much we've been traveling and coming into the side of the human being that requires a teacher to help them decipher the meaning of this existence. And so we have been exploring with our friend Nursi here about the content and the message of the Qur'an or the speech of God, that it cannot really be imitated in a way that whatever I produce here or any kind of interpretation that I can derive at using resources available here is bound to this universe, whereas the speech of the creator of the universe, disseminated through the prophets and messengers, that's an absolute speech, not of the nature of this universe. So even in its eloquence, which may seem very poetic, but the meaning it carries is again beyond the nature of this universe. It cannot even be compared to poetry that I may come across here. And yeah, I think these were interesting points presented by the author, and I think we can also apply it to ourselves in terms of, oh, does it make sense to me? Do I see such? Because only then will I be very strong and confident that this revelation must be from the creator of the universe. This is absolute speech. It's not the production of a man. And even, I think last week we emphasized the prophets themselves, they don't claim that, hey, this is mine. There was no sense of owning something, as in they totally disown it. They're just like, oh, I'm just presenting this message to you, see if it makes sense, then accept it, go for it, do what you gotta do with it. And that's as far as my mission is, just a reminder and just to convey this. However, when we talk about anything of this universe, within our worldly affairs, there's always this sense of ownership to things, where, oh, this is my production, it's this text or book has citation, you know, my name is on it or something like that. But as far as speech of God is concerned and everything wrapping around it with the institution of messengership, there's no such claim. And so that's, you know, it makes also striking to us that, wow, you know, here's a man presenting me this speech, and he's seems to be very convinced about what it says, and you know, I can see it as well in his embodiment, and he's just sharing this so we can all benefit from it and save our humanity from meaninglessness. So pretty much that was in a nutshell what we covered last week. And okay, so if there's nobody who wants to add anything, then we can proceed with the fourth point, inshallah. Fourth point. Again, those of you who joined us in, we are reading from The Race, the Supreme Sign on page 159. Fourth point. The Qur'an has demonstrated such a veracious sweetness that whereas the repetition of even the sweetest thing induces disgust, it has from earliest times been accepted by everyone and even become proverbial that repeated recitation of the Qur'an, far from inducing disgust and weariness in men of sound heart and pure taste, on the contrary, increases its sweetness. This is interesting, actually, that I think we all know that if something is constantly being repeated, I was just speaking to some teenagers, and you know, I asked the question, do you rather eat your favorite food every day or not eat it at all? And they just said, no, I'd rather not eat it at all because I'll get so fed up and tired and bored of it that I wouldn't want to eat it again. So it is in our human nature that when we find something to be repetitive, we become tired and bored from it, that you know, that's how it works. But this fourth point is saying that that's not the case with the repetition of the message in the Quran, for it produces sweet taste within the human being. Okay. All right, the next paragraph, let's see, and then we can chime in together. The Quran demonstrates, moreover, such a freshness, youth, and originality that even though it has lived for 14 centuries, and passed through many hands, it retains its freshness as if it had only just been revealed. Wow, that sounds very sweet. It retains its freshness as if it had only just been revealed. Yeah, usually something that we experience or do for the first time is just unforgettable. And yeah, we want to keep enjoying it. So let's see. Every century sees the Qur'an enjoying a new youth. Every century sees the Qur'an enjoying a new youth, as if it were addressing that century in particular. So the universality of the message is such that it speaks to everyone in every epoch, era, generation, regardless of what stage and age you are at. It speaks to you as if it were ever fresh message delivered to you from the creator of the universe. Okay. Similarly, scholars of every branch of learning, even though they keep the Quran constantly at their side in order to benefit from it. Scholars of every branch of learning, even though they keep the Quran constantly at their side in order to benefit from it, and perpetually follow its method of exposition, see that the Quran maintains the originality of its style and manner of explanation. This is the end of the fourth point, but I just wanted to refresh. What were these points about? Was there a question being asked, or why is the author mentioning the traveler left it to the Risala true that the Quran is miraculous? Also, this is proving that the miraculousness of the Quran in its essence, in terms of the content, the meaning, and that is coming from the creator of the universe. So turning only to a brief indication, a few points showing its greatness. Okay. So just a little recap. So the first point sort of mentioned about the miracles that are mentioned. I don't know what was the first point about. Just the Quran with all its miracles and it's indicating its veracity is a miracle. All its miracles proofs of God. Oh, okay. So it proves prophethood. So you know how we were saying yesterday that without a textbook, without a teacher and instructor would be useless and meaningless. So it's tied in together. So that was the first point. The second point was about that it is how it helped people advance in their spiritual endeavors. Okay, so the content, the message it presents is such. And the third point was that, oh yeah, the whole poetic part. I think, therefore, expound openly what you are. Yeah, I think the poetic eloquence of it cannot be compared. So yeah, that went on a lot last week. And so today, the fourth point to prove the miraculousness of the Quran has to do with the message is such that it is ever fresh. Interesting. Just checking to see if there's anyone who wants to make any comments on this fourth point and just this piece from the author that we're reading in general. Feel free to share out anything, express out, raise your hand or put it on the chat. If I don't hear from anyone, then it means that we are excited to move on to the fifth point. And well, let's check in.
So maybe one thing we can discuss is the originality of the style. As he says, for example, if you see in our day and age, there are certain passions or styles that happen. Some people follow it, and this is one of those things that either picks up, but people get bored of it, and then the next thing comes up, or the industries. Sometimes one industry goes up, and then this is all the way the civilization or the world that we experience. But the Quran has its own something different. It's not like a fashion kind of thing. It's not
the next big thing.
Yeah, it's not the next big thing, or the industry, or it's not one of those. It is a very unique and different context, and yet it's maintaining its style and originality.
This is very unique. This is very rare for something to maintaining its style.
So
right?
although for example, the example with the teenagers you gave was that, that's how the human beings are not accustomed to repetition. It gets boring. But the way the freshness and the youth of what the Quran's meaning and message side is, it's just like for so many centuries since it was revealed, it is still a topic of marvel and discussion. Just like, every scripture has its way, but this particular scripture of the Quran has its own way of talking and a way of manner of expression. It doesn't get old. No matter what age, century you are at, it still talks to you. It still communicates with you.
Very good point. Very good point. Because like what you're saying is like, how things come up with different versions of like even books.
Yeah. So
they get updated. So this is.
It parallels with the way the universe also comes into existence at every moment, every moment things are changing. And one can say, hey, I'm bored with the universe, but you don't realize that things are changing. It's extremely dynamic. Every moment is, I'm changing, you're changing, the whole world is changing. In the same sense, the Quran's meaning also, I would say, enhances, evolves in the way whoever is engaging with it, whoever is reading it, also enjoys that particular freshness in its meaning. Because the moment changed, now in that moment, for that moment of my life, I get to enjoy that particular meaning for that particular moment. So they go dynamically hand in hand.
SubhanAllah, mashallah, this is a very good point. Because this is how we are experiencing our existence here. It comes and go. So that we cannot hold on to anything. So at that moment, what did I catch? And that's it. Next moment, fresh new revelation coming in. Very good point, actually. Yep. Interesting. Alhamdulillah. I see a hand up. Farah, go ahead, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. So what I was thinking was that this idea of, in the fourth point, as it's been expressed, of its fresh and sort of, you could say, updated, current, alive nature of the Quran. There's definitely, we say it from a theoretical point of view also, that if the speaker of the book or the author of this word is eternal, then his message must be eternal, and it must be applicable for every state and time and condition, etc. And on that basis of that theoretical conclusion, we engage, or we can make these claims. On the other hand, on the other hand, I guess the experience is subjective in the fact that I can engage with the Quran with this claim in mind, but my experience of whether or not it is actually fulfilling its claim is my subjective personal experience, which perhaps people can come together to share this. But I personally feel sometimes that without having a personal experience, we often, rely on the claim of it, or the traditions and the community's sort of agreement that that's what this book is supposed to be for someone, even though one may or may not have actually felt it to a certainty. They believe it on the either the claims of the tradition or the theoretical or logical claim. So what I was wondering was that, other than a subjective experience of confirming this fourth point, what are other ways that we can think of this claim to be actually true in our experience, other than just our, subjective experience, which we only know or can come to? Is there like is there a shared sort of manifestation of this truth? Are there other ways to think about the same claim that is, one, not theoretical, and two, not just a personal, like, oh, I feel it or I've experienced it personally, but that, it doesn't really translate to our, anybody else, so this is something that I'm thinking about and figuring out, but I'd be open to any sort of thoughts, but yeah.
Thank you, Farah, for your question. So from what I understand, you're saying that everything is experiential, it's personal, like based on it, then we can confirm the truthfulness of the message of the speech of God. So besides this whole personal experience, what other ways are there to confirm the maybe miraculousness of the speech of God?
Yeah,
hopefully
I think that's very sort of close understanding. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, so this is interesting. So just with anything, at the end of the day, it's all about personal experience, at least I think in general. So even if I were to maybe buy a product, I'll do some research on it, I'll review it, I'll see what other customers have to say about it before jumping into it, because I know that I'm looking for a personal experience with this product. And so the theoretical intellectual side of it will come from resources, from what people are saying, the reviews, and then I'm like, okay, so let's see, Bismillah, let me jump on it, and then I'll personally say, oh, sure, I like it, or maybe I may say, oh no, this doesn't fit my what exactly I was looking for, so let me hop into another product. As far as the Quran is concerned, I think we can also take off it in that regards, in terms of what is out there, what is presented to us. Theoretically, try to make sense of it intellectually, and then bring it to our personal case. But let me see what Brother Ali has to say, because inshallah he'll add up some more. I see his hand up. Go ahead, Ali Murmur.
In the fourth point, it says it retains its freshness as if it had only just been revealed. Of course, it is obvious to all of us here that the author is not talking about its freshness or the freshness of a cucumber or, I don't know, tomato. Of course, it's not a freshness of a physical thing. It is the freshness of its message, the content of its message. So it is easy to say no or yes without experiencing it. Why? how am I going to experience the freshness of the Quran, especially the message of the Quran? I have to relate it to myself. I have to study. I have to see the effect of the message in the Quran in my own personal life. And then keep reading it, studying it, of course, not only reading, I don't know, any on the chip or any recording device can read it million times, but the study, that is important. And when you study, and then it is up to you to say yes or no, whether it is still fresh or not. It has, because when you study the Quran, if you study the Quran, you will realize that it has layers of meanings. And if you look at either the letters, for example, when you take the first leaf, but on the very out periphery of the letters, the leaves are thick, not as tasty, somehow soury, and then you keep peeling up the below one, the below one, it becomes more delicate. That is how the creation is, more crunchy, more tasty, fresher and fresher and fresher. Of course, that is the normal way of creating, creation acting, how the creation is taking place. So the things get old and they die and disappear from the surface of the universe, but new, fresh ones come. As I am getting old, and yeah, okay, but my children, my grandchildren, fresh ones come. That is how creation takes place, and the speech of the same creator must have this quality as well. How can you discover it? By examining, studying, getting involved into with your mind, in your feelings. You have to peel the leaves and get underneath it, leave and get underneath it, then you will decide. Of course, the problem of this age, especially the philosophical problem of this age, is relativity. My personal experience is relative to and limited to my capacity, of course, but at the same time, there is nothing in this universe. This is a very serious question. I'm pleased to see that Feriha brought up this, because we cannot really ignore the reality of our time, and our time is the relativity of understanding of beings and one's life. As a result of this relativity, as I understand, although I don't know what's going on in practical literature, individualism is rising and rose. It is out there. Why? I am living on my life according to me. This is the best way of living it. Please don't interfere into my best way according to me. Of course, this individualism comes from relative to me, this is the best. No one else can decide about me. This relative word is very interesting, and also if we don't realize, if we don't pay attention to the trick that the materialist philosophers are playing for us, then we fall into this trap. it is inevitable. I will be relaxed about time, how long I speak, because otherwise, this very sensitive and important subject cannot be really understood perfectly, properly, as much as we can share. So just on the surface, passing by it doesn't really help much. It maybe causes more confusions. That's why, if you don't mind, I will be relaxed about time, taking the time. So materialism, by definition, looks within the limitations of the capacity of the universe. That is by definition. That is what a thing makes, or an ideology makes materialist ideology, reducing everything to matter, including what we human beings are seeking, looking up, searching the truth. This is not a simple matter. Oh, if you go to history of philosophy, every philosopher says, I am searching the truth. Now, it's really interesting. And even you can see search of the truth, search for truth, whatever very famous philosophers writing about it. And confession, writing confession books as well is very common about the philosophers, philosophical studies or philosopher's life. Why? Personally, I confess I did this and that, failed there, etc. Personal experiences are shared there too. But we should bear in mind that scriptures, all scriptures, are not talking about the truth. I'm emphasizing on the truth, limited to materialist side of existence. So the truth of revelation is absolute, infinite one. By definition, we cannot comprehend infinite in its essence, but we can conclude about its existence, necessary existence, according to me. But I cannot say, according to you, that is up to you. But be careful. Don't look for the truth, which is called absolute truth, that the philosophers claim that not impossible to obtain. It is unobtainable, absolute truth. Therefore, be careful, there is no absolute truth. Of course, there is no absolute truth within the materialist world or material world. Of course. So it sounds very consistent way of reasoning. Why? They don't say, because we are materialists in quote unquote, that is why we define or we conclude that there is no absolute truth. They don't say because we are. These tricky people, maybe they trick themselves, as Qur'an says, they are making the traps for themselves, but God is the best planner, if you like, trap maker. It means really spoils all your tracks, the traps. So the message says, the scripture says, the truth is the absolute being, and absolute cannot be searched for within this universe. This universe, in and of itself, is just a sign table, if you like. Sign table. For example, if you go to an exhibition hall, you can see the exhibition, the pieces of arts demonstrated in the exhibition hall. What you see there? You see the art. You don't see the artist. I mean, an artist may be sitting here because it is an analogy, of course. Inevitably, the analogies cannot really represent perfectly the absolute being, creator. So in this case, artist. In the exhibition hall of this universe, we can see the art, not the artist. Of course, Definitely, of course, 100 million times, of course, there is no artist in the exhibition hall. But all the pieces of art points to the necessary existence of the artist. Now, necessary existence of the artist is one's own experience. But what the text says here is different. Everyone who goes and examines the exhibition hall concludes that there must be uh, uh, an absolute source of existence, but as far as the metaphor is concerned, there must be an artist who is conscious being and has the quality of artistry and made all these ever refreshing demonstration of the pieces of art in the exhibition hall. Now, for the people who say the whole existence consists of only in this exhibition hall and there is no artist, so we cannot talk about the at absolute level the existence of the artist. Correct. But the first assumption is corrupt, not correct, corrupt assumption. Why? Who said the artist is in the exhibition hall? On just the contrary, human mind concludes that the artist cannot be in the exhibition hall. They are arts only. Human mind. We are talking about human mind and the conclusion of the human mind. Human mind is in the individual cases, and according to the capacity of the human mind, they define the artist according to their own capacity. That is correct. But all human minds unanimously able, they are all able to conclude that there is an artist, but the qualities of the artist are defined according to the capacity of the person. Now, we are talking about this absolute truth, if you like, with the language of our friend Farah, the truth. That's the same thing. Truth or the reality. What is the reality? Necessary existence of the artist. Is the personal conclusion? Of course. Because to comprehend the necessariness, if there is such a word in English, what is there? Necessariness? No, what do you say? The necessity? Oh, there is an editor here, English editor. So next to me, my beloved friend. How many years old? So we are just reviving the nostalgia of our old days. And thank God. Alhamdulillah. So, anyways, the necessity of this, yeah, it is a common thing, human logic, unless somebody really obstinately says, no, 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 I can only believe what I can see in the exhibition hall of the universe. He is bound to deny it, but as a human being, it is impossible to say that I don't see any artist in this exhibition hall. So this belief in artists is just an imagination. Of course, imagination according to your claim, but my reality as I am, I can conclude the truthfulness of the existence of necessity of existence of the artist, because each part of the art definitely demonstrates that all these parts cannot be the source of existence of the art I can see, and the universe is ever refreshing example of it, ever refreshing in every level of existence, not only all together, but also each and every part demonstrates this. If someone still says, oh, it is a personal understanding, it's an individual experience and relative to your experience, of course, it is relative to my experience. I cannot be responsible for your judgment. I am responsible for my judgment. That's why we always repeat this expression, as if it became idioms. One of the idioms that we use in this study circle, that we say, of course, we have to conclude that I am responsible for myself, and my human capacity almost dictates me that I have to confirm the necessity of the existence of the artist, who must be by definition qualified with absolute qualities. And this is my conclusion, and the idiom is here, or idiomatic expression is here in belonging to this group here studying. Expression is here. Belief in the existence of the absoluteness of the artist of the universe is my conclusion, and belief in this conclusion is not contradicting myself. I should not contradict myself. But whether you feel it, you don't feel it, none of my concern. That is your business, your responsibility. You have to take care of yourself. I am taking care of myself. Believe in the existence of the necessary artist, the creator, absolute creator. That is what my human capacity shows it, demonstrates it, dictates it. There is no other way of explaining this arts in the exhibition hall of the universe. So I believe in the creator as the absolute being. I cannot contradict myself. That is why I believe. So this consistency within myself must guarantee me. But in reality, how can I make sure that such qualities, absolute qualities, really exists out there? It means you are asking an impossible answer, which means, why impossible answer? Because the absolute being cannot be comprehended, therefore cannot be defined in its essence of existence. In its essence of existence. Be careful. Don't be carried away by this conditioned, biased, materialist, philosophical view, which is invading everybody's minds because people don't think really seriously. Don't use human capacities seriously. They waste themselves. That is what the Qur'an says. Don't be wasteful. Pharaoh was the most arrogant man on earth, but he was a wasteful man, or how do you say it? Wasteful man? A man wasteful?
No, wasteful. He was
Wasteful. He was, but he was wasteful. Yeah, he was wasteful. So he doesn't say he was a denier. No, he was wasting his human capacities. He was wasting his own human reality. He was wasting his own human conclusion by contradicting it because of obstinacy, arrogance, egotistic attitudes. I mean, never ending satisfaction by himself. You cannot satisfy yourself with anything in this world. That is inevitable. You cannot get it. Yourself cannot get it, but you understand that there must be someone who must get it for you because you have the need for it. So that one is the one who gave existence to your needs. So we should define the words. We cannot use it, uh, how do you say, loosely, saying that how can I make sure about the truth? How can I make sure about the reality? What do you mean by truth? What do you mean by reality? Yeah, are we talking about the reality of my claim that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 books on my table right now? So, do you want me to prove it? Is there? Come and see. But we are talking about the necessarily existence, necessity of the existence of an absolute creator, actor, existence giver to the universe, source of existence of the universe. So can I show the source of existence of the universe within the exhibition hall of the universe? What are you talking about? Of course, it should be your conclusion. No other way. But it doesn't mean that truth is relative. Come on, idiot man, I would say to that materialist philosophers. What are you talking about? Which kind of philosopher are you? So I'm excited and angry with those people because they really poison people's minds. But innocent people take it easily. Why? Yeah, really, everything's relative to me. You see, I like this clothes, this fashion. The other one may like something. Of course, it is relative to us. Idiot, what are you talking about? I'm not talking about two creative beings comparing to each other. Which one do you prefer? We are talking about the real existence of the necessary existence of the source of existence. By definition, must be infinite one. What are you talking about? And I like this, I don't know, season, the other one made like this. It's of course it is. We have to understand each other. We are a diverse society. Everybody must be really comfortable with each other because this is, anyway, there is no absolute truth. Why should we bother about absolute truth? What a simple mindedness of the people speaking in this way. What are you talking about? I'm not talking about whether you like this color or that color. I'm talking about a very serious matter. What the source of my existence can be. Can I be my source of existence? Can my atoms and cells and DNA or whatever the chromosomes, whatever they made up all these names, of course, they refer to something, just the scientific names. And as the Quran says, they are just the names they make themselves. They don't have any power to do anything. They cannot really be the source of existence of anything in any way. Come on, show me any qualities that Quran says. Come on, demonstrate it to me. Ilahun ma'allah. Come on, demonstrate it to me. It's a beautiful way of explaining everything. So refreshing, ever refreshing. Message of the Quran is out there, clear, but we have to study. And we should be careful what we say, what we use about the terms we use, we hear, and use it in our, we have to define what do I mean by this. You have to ask me also, what do I mean by when I say truth, when I say reality, when I say absolute? What do you mean by absolute? You have to challenge me and ask me. And the same thing, you have to ask those people who keep saying that everything is relative, so that we have to be tolerant to each other. Yeah, we have to be tolerant to each other. It's different from everything is relative, man. What are you talking about? It's a confusion of concepts. It's a very simple-mindedness to me. I get really angry with these people. So we have to watch out and we have to be really careful. Thank you. I spoke at, I took your permission, although not outwardly. given, granted, but I took it for granted that I'm given the permission to talk as much as long as I want. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Alhamdulillah, this was very beneficial. Good points, really. This is some serious matter in terms of when we are concluding and talking about a necessarily existent one, or like you were saying, concluding the necessity of an absolute source. This is, I think we all need to be paying closer attention to our existence and things around us. So let me just see if there are any comments from anyone. I think there are some interesting points on the chat. Hatice Beza, we can start with yours if you want to please read out your comment.
Assalamu alaikum. This is more just my understanding of Brother Ali's point, but in essence, what I got was, if I deny the existence of objective truth on the basis that, in claiming that my understanding of truth is always subjective, this itself is a contradiction, or is contradictory, because if I claim subjective understanding, there must also exist objective truth as well. So what is that subjectivity even based off of if I deny objective truth to begin with? So in essence, and I'm just reading off my comment now, my limited understanding of truth doesn't render reality void of truth itself. It just means that I cannot take ownership over absolute truth. So it becomes a difference between my personal conclusion of the necessity of an absolute truth versus having claims over knowing what that absolute truth is.
Well, thank you for your comment. And I know Colin also has some interesting comment. Colin, would you like to read your comment, please?
Yeah, I'll just read from it. The question, I think, is that if everyone has their own subjective understanding, how then can we know whether it's true or not? You know, how can we know that it's changing? Is the changing meanings, you know, the ever refreshed meanings of the Quran, is this not something we just take on board as a principle of belief? My point is that you can experience the change of meanings over time if you study the Quran over time. So what I understand from one verse now is different from what I understood a year ago from that very same verse. And obviously this is my own personal experience. If meanings of a verse were meant to only be intersubjective, this would actually militate against the notion of constant change. It would anchor the Quran in time, it would historicize it, and it would be static and stagnant. So the very fact that we all have different understandings, as long as they are internally consistent, and as long as they don't contradict, you will find that over time it changes. But that is experiential, that has to be actually done over time. I don't know whether that makes sense or whether that actually addresses what the person was saying. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair, very good point. It makes perfectly sense. It goes also back to the analogy that Brother Ali was given about the lattice, right? So things have layers and layers of meaning. And you're right, if everything was just static, meaning-wise, then it defeats the purpose of an absolute speech of the creator of the universe, because then it becomes just like a historical text. Rather, it's really dynamic in its meaning, and it's really, really brings layers and layers of meaning to one's understanding. But I have to be very much consistent with the aim and the purposes of the Quran.
I have to study.
It's
Sure.
interesting. It's interesting, this layers and layers business, actually, because in Jannah, in heaven, there are some things which will be silk and some things which will be brocade. And silk is a single layer, and brocade is layer upon layer upon layer. So, even in heaven, there will be veils, but veils of, different thicknesses or different thinnesses, if you wish. So it makes sense, that everything in this world is layered, is in degrees and is layers. And that includes how we understand the Quran as well, because we are changing. That will address us as we change. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense. As you say, it would be anchored in history and it would be completely stagnant.
Mashallah, beautiful comment. I never thought of it that way in terms of, yeah, I do hear things about like silk or brocade, but this is interesting as far as the consequence of what we experience here and what it points to. So that was an interesting pointer for to ponder over. Thank you for sharing, Colin. And I see Ali Murmur, you have your hand up. Go ahead, please.
I would like to thank both comments actually, but H. Beza and Colin, especially the term intersubjectivity attracted my attention. I took a copy of the message actually and to think about it, reflect on it more. It is so interesting, but especially the term intersubjectivity, I suddenly, if you like, struck my attention from many aspects. One is my understanding of, let's say, comprehending of absolute, infinite. So, for example, I didn't know much about infinite in mathematics. Just in general, high school level, you call it, or what mathematics, knowledge in mathematics. I was talking about infinite, and a professor in mathematics in the UK, in the US, he's one of my friends. I really like him, and his reason is very nice man and honest man. He told me, "Look, I'm in the subject, and I can try to explain something to you." And he took me from the community where we were alone, and he explained to me how many different understandings of infinite already exist in the field of mathematics. I was amazed. I didn't know. Right? So he said, as you study the mathematics from one layer to another, from one level, let's say primary school students said, I get 100 out of 100 from mathematics. I passed the class. Correct. At primary school. High school may have the same thing, and college level, and maybe master, PhD, whatever levels that I am the best. But my understanding of infinite is intersubjective to the previous ones. At every level, I say, oh, my understanding of infinite is perfect. My understanding of what are we talking here, really? We are talking about absoluteness of the creator. So, as Colin pointed out, at an individual level, my understanding of the knowledge of the infinite, which is expressed in the apparently static language of the Quran, depending on your understanding level, of course. These are mathematics based on certain numbers, that in fact 0 and 1, with everything is really based on 0 and 1. That's it. So, but your understanding of the knowledge of the absolute being definitely changes, and they are relative to each other. But at the same time, suddenly I realized that I can expand it to other, comparing to other people's understanding. For example, I see my friend here, and I may talk, I am talking to him, of course, and then he may present his understanding of a verse, and I may see that relative to my understanding, his understanding is really deeper than mine. But relativity is can be possible, and not can be possible. I'm sorry, must be. Relativity must be in reality within the comparison of two. Go back to my exhibition hall and the pictures. Beauty of the two pictures, the art quality of the two pictures, two frames. You can say, relative to this is better for me. This is the best one. I have chosen this. I'm going to buy this and put it on my wall, in the hall, in the living room to demonstrate it. How fine understanding of art I have, and then be proud of my senses or talent of art, etc. To my visitors. That is how the things are going on in the world. So it is just a show of business, but at the same time, it demonstrates to relativity. The other ones are either like this, yeah, relative, correct. But how about the existence of artists? What about the piece of art you hang on your wall? Explicitly announces the necessary existence of the artist. It goes with the deeper meaning, deeper and deeper meaning of the Quran. It goes with your personal experience of the journey into understanding the reality of the existence of the absolute being. Now, so you can have this intersubjectivity within yourself and intersubjectivity within two different objects, two different people as well. So according to my friend's understanding, maybe at the level of college, my understanding at the level of elementary school. So relative to my friend's understanding, my understanding is really shallow, relative, correct? But what it is, the trick is going on there. This understanding of relativity is excused and confined to the limits of the universe itself. So there is no absolute, of course there is no absolute within the universe. Otherwise, universe would be itself God, the creator, source of existence. Who can claim that anything in the universe can be the source of existence? In the example, which, as if we are talking about what of the, as the Ibrahim in the Quran, Ibrahim example says, the biggest one must have smashed the other ones as well, other idols. It is a symbolic expression in the Quran. The biggest one must be, show me the biggest atom. What is the source of existence of this universe? We are not talking about this kind of idiotic argumentations. When we talk about the creator, the source of existence of the universe and the source of existence of the speech of the Quran. The same thing. The completely irrelevant, H. Pesa said, they are inconsistent comparisons. I mean, contradictory comparisons, making this kind of comparison. We have to be extremely careful anyway. So I really thank you for this beautiful class and also comments and of course, I really thank the most to my friend Farah for bringing this very subject, very interesting point. And we have to deal and we have to learn how to deal with kinds of problems of the age, rather than really collecting and piling up informations. Piling up information is nothing if it doesn't bring satisfaction to my heart. to my spirit, to my mind. So I will feel more and more secure in my existence, not within myself, secure myself. No. How can I make my very fragile, ever-changing, and continuously transient, fleeting existence? Every day I lose my existence, every day. So how can I make sure, because I want to make sure about my existence, that I will never disappear from existence? What is the source of, if you like, the support of hope for me, that I can depend on? I cannot depend on the stars. I cannot depend on, I don't know, the government. I cannot depend on the military power of American army. They cannot stop me from dying. And they cannot give me, they cannot guarantee me my limited permanent existence. I always joke with it. Life insurance cannot stop you from dying. This reality, why do you call life insurance idiot man cheating me? These cheaters. Life insurance. Who can insure life? So it means there is a need for human beings. They are exploiting it. I want to insure my life. Yeah, with whom? With which company can insure my life? That is my primary concern. That is why I have to seek and search out where the absolute truth can be found. In which area? Of course, going out of the nature of universe. Nature of universe, because nature of universe is dependent, transient. Nature of universe cannot sustain its own existence. I must be, how do you say, I must be stupid to say that atom sustains its own existence. It continues to change. I can take and exploit the atom, get out of the atom and get the energy out of it. I can do that easily. Nowadays, especially, not personally, but technically it is possible. So it cannot be the source of my existence. It can be destroyed anytime. So, I mean, it is obvious to me. The subject is obvious, but I will make a joke now and stop. It is obvious to my subjective understanding. That was the joke. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, thank you for sharing your comments. Any other comments from anyone? Any follow-up things? Ali Murmur, your hand is still up. I'm not sure if it's from before, but if it is, okay. So if people don't have anything to add, then we shall be moving on to the fifth point, inshallah. Bismillah. Fifth point. One wing of the Qur'an is in the past, and one is in the future. And like its root and one wing are the agreed truths of the former prophets. And one wing are the agreed truths of the former prophets. And it confirms and corroborates them. And they too confirm it with the tongue of unanimity. So too, all the true Sufi paths and ways of sainthood, whose fruits, like the saints and purified scholars who receive life from the Qur'an show through their vital spiritual progress that their blessed tree is living, effulgent, and the means to truth, and who grow and live under the protection of its second wing, testify that the Qur'an is pure truth and the assembly of truths, and in its comprehensiveness, a matchless wonder. I need to reread this again. So let's define also the it part. So one wing of the Quran is in the past and one is in the future. I think talking about that it's not subject to space-time, and like its root, and one wing are the agreed truths of the former prophets, and it confirms and corroborates them, and they confirm it with the tongue of unanimity. So speech of God being accompanied by all the prophets, messengers of God, human representation of the speech of God. In essence, they all are in agreement with the message. And so too all the true Sufi paths and ways of sainthood. So like the purified scholars whose fruits, like the saints and purified scholars, people who've been studying the Quran and deciphering its meaning and getting enlightened in their existence and sharing it with others. So they too are also in agreement with the message brought by the prophets. And so who received life from the Quran? It's interesting. Who received life from the Quran, as in their spirit gets illuminated. So that's like a living entity where the message taps into your consciousness and spirit. So obviously we are all capable of receiving life from the Quran. So all this show through their vital spiritual progress that their blessed tree is living. So they show through their spiritual progress. I think within themselves, they were so convinced, excited, psyched with the transformation from the speech of God penetrating all their human feelings, that their blessed tree is living. Their blessed tree, the blessed tree of the prophethood, their blessed tree, it's a living tree. It's not something from the past. Prophecy is alive within all of us, but we just need to be a little more open and listening to it. So the blessed tree of all the prophets is living, effulgent, and the means to truth, and who grow and live under the protection of its second wing. So who's growing, and who grows? And I guess everybody, everyone, the purified scholars and saints, so they grow and live under the protection of its second wing. Subscribing to, I guess, the prophetic path, prophetic message. So that's the only way one can find the life insurance in terms of, I guess, subscribing to the message of God. That will be the only way of true salvation, because nothing of this universe can really guarantee our existence. And so all this testify that the Quran is pure truth. So, wow, I think it's confirming the veracity of the Quran and the assembly of truths. And in its comprehensiveness, a matchless wonder. So it really cannot be matched with any other books, speech, or any resources out there. This was just a brief takeaway from the fifth point, but I mean, speaking out loud here, but let me try to digest this. But if anyone wants to say something, go ahead, Ali Murmur, your microphone is unmuted. So
yeah, I think I was going to ask you whether the second wing can be understood as the future. It means students of the Quran, students of revelation in general, actually. In the future, they are flourishing, they are learning and spreading it in two ways, in either scholarly way or following the Sufi tradition. It means sainthood. So different paths are developing, branches are coming out of it, and bringing the message in different passages, different ways, different venues, following the different venues in order to satisfy or present the truth of the Quran according to the expectations or capacities of the people of the next generations and the next generations. This goes and goes and goes, because belief in the absolute cannot be limited, really. So everybody can find a place there, either on the surface or in the deep center, whatever, but everybody can find it. So the message continues. So the future, the second wing, I thought to students of the message of the Quran, it means future. I don't know whether it's right or wrong.
yeah, alhamdulillah, that makes sense. Yeah, the second wing can be students of the Quran. So just like a tree, the branches are expanding out. So definitely that fits well and applies and resonates with all of us, all humanity, trying to make sense of their existence. What's that?
Whoever's studying the Quran.
Sure, yeah, whoever's studying the Quran. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you for bringing that pointer. Any comments from anyone here? Okay, so we can move on to the sixth point. Sixth point, the Quran's truthfulness and veracity show that its 6 aspects are luminous. 6 aspects are luminous. I'm not sure what the 6 aspects are. Maybe this, all of this, not sure. Indeed, the pillars of argument and proof beneath it. Oh, so these are it. Number 1, the pillars of argument and proof beneath it, the flashes of the stamp of miraculousness above it, the gifts of happiness in this world and the next before it, its goal, the truths of heavenly revelation, the point of support behind it. The point of support behind it should be interesting. I think that's what we've been all looking into. The assent and evidence of innumerable upright minds to its right, and the true tranquility, sincere attraction, and the true tranquility, sincere attraction, and submission of sound heart. and clean consciences. Clean consciences. On its left, all prove that the Quran is a wondrous, firm, unsaleable citadel of both the heavens and the earth. SubhanAllah, this sounds beautifully wonderful. Really, I mean, with the ending. Firm, unsaleable citadel of both the heavens and the earth. So, yeah, any comments here from anybody? Yeah, I think just solidifies the proofs of the miraculousness of the Quran in various ways, how it brings enlightenment to the spirit. So really installing happiness in not only in this world and the next as well. The submission of sound hearts and clean consciences in terms of like all who have been studying it, trying to grasp the truth, the meaning, and then sharing it with others. What else? The flashes of the stamp of miraculousness. So how it's supported by unanimous consensus and confirmation from purified scholars, I think, of all time, and also it lives under the protection of the second wing, which we defined as the students of the Quran. And I think we should also connect this to the companions of the prophets as well, where, remember a couple of weeks ago, we mentioned that they also play a huge role in terms of helping us get the message, because if it weren't for them, then we wouldn't be able to be having access to all these writings. And even this author, Nursi, may Allah be pleased with him, to be sharing these gems with us. Alhamdulillah. So if there are no more comments from people, then maybe we can just finish up on the next page, this first paragraph, and then call it a day. So too, from these 6 levels, the disposer of the universe has set his seal on its being sheer truth and right, and not being man's word, and it's containing no error. The disposer, who has made it his practice to always exhibit beauty in the universe, protect good and right, and eliminate impostors and liars, has confirmed and set his seal on the Quran by giving it the most acceptable, highest, and most dominant place of respect and degree of success in the world. All right, so it's an interesting point as well, as far as confirming how it's definitely not man's word, and it's speech from not of the nature of this universe. So the way, even in its essence, it's nicely protected. And I see Colin has his hand up. Go ahead, please.
It's a question, actually. I'm not sure. At the 6 levels that you've just mentioned, the previous paragraph, the page before, the author often talks about the 6 aspects of Quran. What do you think the significance of these are? Clearly, 2 of them are temporal, I think, anyway. One is past, one is future. But what about the other? How are we to understand the other aspects? For example, the pillars of argument and proof, they are foundational, so clearly they're beneath it. So spatially, that indicates foundation. So I think I understand that. But how are we understanding the other aspects? You know, before, behind, beneath, above, left and right.
Thank you. Very good question. I think it would be worth looking deeper into this. And yeah, the author does mention a lot about left, right, up and down, and front and back. So I think, just like you were saying, the beneath part, like the ground, the roots, it's really foundational, makes sense. Left and right, past, future. I know it's not subject to space-time, but you know, when it talks about the stamp of miraculousness above it, perhaps it applies to me here and now in terms of how everything points to, you know, we say divine unity, in terms of things are pointing to something not of the nature of this universe. So there's this divine stamp to it in terms of, I mean, if we were to ponder over just existence in general, it's miraculous. It's you know, questioning the source of existence of anything. So definitely there's a stamp of divine unity or miraculousness in it. And I'm just sharing in some thoughts that are occurring, but it would be good to see what others have to say on this as well. The gifts of happiness in this world and the next before it. So within me, we are given this need of eternal happiness and satisfaction in our existence, because transience does not satisfy us, but it pokes us to, I guess, attach our existence to the one who gives us existence. So, you know, he says here, its goal. So that would be it. And then the truths of heavenly revelation, the point of support behind it. Like, I'm not here left to my own devices in terms of people in the past, future, they've all gone through this existential journey. So, you know, just, I think even knowing this brings in comfort to me, where that's my human condition. So all the speech of God, like the truths of heavenly revelation, addresses my human concerns. And I don't know, I'm just speaking out loud here, so not sure if that makes any sense. And so we can go on with the true tranquility, sincere attraction, submission of the heart. And I see Ali Murmur has his hand up, so inshallah, Brother Ali, help us a little bit. Thank you.
I was going to ask you or someone else, maybe Colin himself, if you really pay attention to the text. I mean, my English understanding of English may just lag behind the understanding. The first is the pillars of argument and proof. Beneath it, it means all the claims that the Quran presents to human minds are based on proof, arguments, the logical consistency and evidence in the universe. So combines the source of existence of the universe and the source of existence of the Quran, language of of it, verbal expression of the same message in the universe, but this is verbal expression guaranteeing what the universe really points to, confirming each other. Universe confirms the message that there is an absolute creator and he has absolute qualities. The Quran says, I am God and I have absolute qualities. If you want to question it and if you don't accept it, go and see my work out there in the universe. So you cannot find any other source for the universe. So this claim also cannot be done by anyone other than the creator of the universe. This is the underneath. The Quran is based on it. Fundamentally, this is one. The second, I know this time is up, but of course, this was an interesting question and completes the first paragraph of the 6th point, although the 6th point continues, maybe explains further. Yeah. Okay. The flashes of the stamp of miraculousness about it. It means the language, the style of the language, miraculous style of the language. So beautifully covers up all levels of meaning in the very delicate construction of the sentences, contraction of the words. Of course, if you really study, the Quran keeps changing the word, although every word in Arabic fundamental, of course, there are exceptions. 3 letters. Out of 3 letters, how many, it's more than 200 or something forms can be produced. So everything has slightly different has a different feeling. So when you really apply all this, you see the consistency in the language, the miraculousness of the language itself, especially as far as the eloquent side of it concerned. That is the second. The third is gifts of happiness in this world, and the next before it, and its goal is what? Happiness in this world and the next. But we have to understand that this is combined, as the author says in his other writings, to separate the hereafter, the next creation, from this creation is a fault, mistaken understanding. So it is so delicately put in the author's language. The second creation is not adjacent to this creation. What does it mean? We always see at a simple level saying that this universe will be destroyed and another creation will take place. But not really, this understanding cannot really represent the reality of existence in this universe, because as far as human beings are concerned, within this universe, with the guidance of the teachings of the Quran, I can experience the existence of the next type of creation. Next type of creation for me, it is relative to me. But the creation means the manifestation of the power which is absolute. So the manifestation of an absolute cannot be before, after. That is why in Islamic tradition, scholarly, the tradition of the scholarship, they agree that the next creation already exists and human spirit lives in it. If they realize it, if they confirm it, if they open their windows, the light, luminosity, luminous light, that's the explanation of the word of luminous. So luminous light comes into my heart and says, okay, I have a never-ending existence because of the power of my creator. I belong to him. If you like, I don't know, we have to be careful with this understanding of this kind of language. I am in him, if you like. My existence is in in his hand, if you like, in his will. So if I realize that I belong to him, definitely, immediately, I say, okay, permanent existence is guaranteed. And my spirit starts living in the eternal life, permanent life, permanent existence. By my body is made up of clay. What does it mean? Simple. Belongs to this material temporal world. Of course, it changes, but my spirit doesn't. So that is what this third. The fourth is truth of heavenly revelations, the point of support behind it. No, what the Quran says, I am. Oh, I didn't see it. Come on, bring it. I wasn't looking at the screen. There was something interesting.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Hatice Beza shared a very great visual.
The truthfulness of the Quran above
Wow.
philosophers.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
because
Thank you.
look,
Great.
the author
Very
was.
cool.
Thank you. So keep it on the screen. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Thank you. Because I want to study it and go over it after I finish the reading here. So the point of support behind it, the truth of heavenly revelation. What does it mean? The source of the Quran cannot be anything other than the absolute creator. Cannot be. So the absolute knowledge is speaking there. That is why the layers of the understanding of the Quran is, if you like, as many as the number of the people created on earth. Why? Everybody's heart, everybody's mind will find a place in there, in the Quran. Everybody will benefit from it according to his capacity, yes, relative to his capacity, yes, but the truth they will come is absolute. That's why we have to be very careful while we are using this. Yeah. So I agree with Hamim. So it was a beautiful, but I couldn't study. Inshallah, I will. So the essence and evidence of innumerable upright minds to it is right. It means on the right, what stands on the right? The people who use their mind seriously, concentrate on it, study the Quran 40, 50 years, lifelong study, and they write volumes of their conclusions, and they are satisfied with it. They are really seriously satisfied with it. Only those people who read the English translation or Turkish translation of the Quran, they just speak, because I read the Quran. Yeah, what did you read? Now, but I read the Quran. This is very, simplistic way of understanding. The original language of the Bible is missed, not the Hebrew Bible, by the way. Yeah, maybe Hebrew Bible is, they call it, sometimes it was really ambiguous whether it existed or not, but Greek, I think, if I'm wrong, please correct me, Greek translation of the original Hebrew was available after 3 years after Moses' time. So it was translated, that's what history says. It was translated into Hebrew again, and that is what they have now, Hebrew Bible and translation, English translation of the Bible. But especially this Christian Bible, they call it this for the Gospels, yeah. Canonical Gospels, they say. So these Gospels, they don't have its original form at all, right? But they have to call this translation the Bible. They don't say the translations of the Bible, the original of these sayings of the Jesus, the prophet Jesus, alayhi salam, are lost, but the translations are available now. but it is called the Bible. Now, what we started doing this, I read the English translation, Turkish translation, whatever, even Arabic or modern Arabic translation of the Quran. They say, I read the Quran. You didn't read the Quran. Be careful, dude. What do you do? You read the translation of it. It means it is just limited, or if you like, relative to the understanding of capacity of the translator. Why do I use this? There is a friend here very sensitive. He loves the word relative among us joined lately. He doesn't know that we had almost 1 hour discussion of absolute and relative truth. So that is what I'm referring to. So anyway, by the way, I welcome my friend here. So this is the right side of it, because all serious people who study the Quran, they are all satisfied with it. So the sixth one, oh, that is excellent. That is my favorite aspect of the Quran, is the true tranquility, sincere attraction, and submission of sound hearts and clean consciences on its left side prove that the Quran is a wondrous, firm, unassailable citadel of both the heavens and the earth. Now, that is our reality. True tranquility, that is what my life meaningful, the message we receive from revelation, especially in clear-cut terms from the Quran. Clear-cut, not confused, twisted, mixed up with other things, but clear-cut, straight away, a presentation of the truth. So that is what I understood from the six. Luminous. Luminous means every part is really sparkling with beautiful, enlightening lights. So Fariha was asking about what this luminous is. That is what I understood, but I bet you understand from the text much better than I do. But you know, I always speak. I love speaking. Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah, you're very welcome. This was interesting and exciting. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, so I know we are way above time, but this is very interesting visual. I just wanted to look at it again. So TJ, mashallah, did a very good job in terms of putting it in visual, this whole above, below. I'm not able to capture all of it. Let me do this. Beneath. So pretty much the aspect that we, oh no, where did it go? Right here. Okay. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Thank you for sharing this. So it's interesting how to the right you have the evidence, and then pretty much it's like an all-encompassing package of understanding all the aspects, you know, on different sides. All righty.
Can you put it a bit up so that I will see the other aspect?
Yeah, let me see like this. Already up like that, you mean? That this is it. This captures it all. Yeah. So interesting. Thank you. This is all right. We can, inshallah, dive deeper into this next week. And I know because we didn't finish this whole, what you call it, the 6th point. There is more to it. So inshallah, we will continue on with this second paragraph on page 160 next time. Thank you, everyone, for coming in, being in good company, and then chiming in, sharing your thoughts and comments. Alhamdulillah, this was very beneficial and thought-provoking. Inshallah, we will see you all next time. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save except that which you've taught us. Indeed, you are all knowledgeable, all wise. Wa akhiru da'wahum anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati Surah Al-Fatiha. Ameen.